helped heal the dwarven prospector Krosnon, who had been attacked by some strange elven-like creatures. And then you heard drums in the distance. We now join our heroes as they are pursued by the advanced scouts of this strange force of shadowy creatures. Most of them, Krosnon, a few of their hirelings, their teamsters, even Captain Leopold have piled aboard this cart with their 4 horses on it. We have a couple of their hirelings, Caroline and Dick, sort of leading the way. Malcolm has concealed himself on a rock nearby, and Brock has concealed himself behind a rocky outcropping. Weimar has also moved into the cover of some rocks. So, the first you guys know of this incoming attack, aside from the distant sound of drumming, is when suddenly what appeared to be 2 globes of darkness engulf the cart. Anyone inside those areas, the squares that you should hopefully see are marked red, is now in pure blackness. If you have infravision, it's not a problem, but otherwise no one inside that area can see. And as you look into the distance, those of you who can still see, you see what appear to be 4, they almost look like dark smudges on the snowy white landscape. They don't appear to, almost like living shadows. They don't appear to be walking. They seem to be flowing across the landscape, almost like liquid darkness. And as they get closer, something about their form vaguely reminds you of the sort of elven form of your companion, Malcolm Harp, but their bodies appear to be made out of pure darkness. Aside from where a face would be on a normal person, is a featureless white porcelain mask. And you see 4 of these creatures approaching.
Do they bear arms, John?
You can see they all appear to be carrying longbows. And since we're pretty much straight onto a combat, I'm going to roll for initiative. Okay, so it's Krosnon going first. So, Colin, would you like to take control of Krosnon, since he's right next to you? If you double click on him, it should bring up his character sheet.
Oh, yeah. Sure does. Oh, he's got a pistola.
He has indeed. What do you want to do? You've only, obviously, we're not going to have a long time to think about your decisions, because it's a
So it's going to fire that shit.
Okay.
It's going to fire that at the nearest thing.
Make an attack roll.
Oh. What is it? That's dank.
Okay, so he fires off his black powder pistol. There is a loud sort of snap of indeed, of the pistol. However, since we're in damp conditions, the sort of bang is far muted, and it's more like a as obviously his powder has got wet, and just a thin trail of smoke drifts out of the pistola to no real effect.
I will glance at him with a look of disappointment.
Okay, next it's Caroline.
Keep your powder dry.
So whoever's in charge of Caroline.
You're muted, Matt.
Sorry, are the wagons still moving?
The wagons are still moving, albeit slowly, because the teams just can't see.
Okay. So I guess she will just continue to move with them and kind of give the teamsters directions to help them move faster.
Okay, no problems. We then go on to Dick.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be doing very similar, but on the other side of the horses, so the 2 on the right, as it were.
Okay, no problem. Next we go on to Gordon. Who's in charge of Gordon?
I think I've got Gordon as well.
Okay. So Gordon is just,
basically
as far as he can see,
blind
he's just in
at the moment.
blackness. He can't see anything at all.
And this blackness is moving with the.
It is indeed, yeah.
Yeah. Was there any? Did Gordon notice any sort of noise that landed on the wagon, like an object or something that he could try and
Roll me a d6.
find? D6. And that would be a 1.
Okay, he didn't notice anything land on the wagon. However, he did notice that one of these strange creatures sort of like lifted its arms up and sort of whispered something in a sibilant tone just before like the darkness fell. And just as the darkness was falling on one area of the wagon, he saw another one lift up its arms as well.
Right.
Sorcery.
Would you know which ones, out of interest?
Yeah, it's the two middle ones.
Right. Okay.
With the stars and the moons on their hat.
That's it.
And our
With the robes.
dwarven friend, he recognised these guys, or he's identified them as the ones that he'd encountered.
Yeah,
previously.
Krosnon will have shouted, "Oh, it's the same ones who attacked me earlier."
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he can't really do too much other than give that information to the rest of the group, really.
Okay, so you try and pass that information on. However, sound is strangely muted inside of the area of darkness. It can still be heard, but it's just like a bit sort of strangely sort of echoey and sort of muted. Let me turn the music down just a little.
I mean, he'll only be talking to the guys on the wagon, I would say, because otherwise he's going to have to shout and give away positions and things. So.
That's absolutely fine. So next we come on to Malcolm. What do you want to do, Malcolm?
Okay. I would like to shoot this guy here. Uh, 15.
That is indeed hit. You see your arrow appears to pass straight through the creature, but as it does, it's almost like it tears off a few wisps of this shadow, and then the arrow thunks into the snow behind it. From your vantage point on the rock, you see these few like wisps of the shadowy substance of the creature sort of caught on your arrow, and then they just seem to like evaporate like a morning mist.
Okay. And then I would like to jump down behind this stone
Yep, go for it.
and try and hide so that they can't see me.
Okay, now you wouldn't be able to hide this turn because hiding's an action. So
Okay.
because you've shot and you've jumped down, so you've done your movement.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, you would still get cover if anyone tried shooting at you now. Or anything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that'll take that.
Okay. Why more?
Can I see any of these from where I am?
Probably not, because obviously the rocks are in the way, and then there's the like globes of darkness. Obviously, you've seen like Malcolm up on top of the rock nearby you, sort of fire an arrow.
Well, I'll just be motioning to Caroline and Dick, just like keep going,
Okay.
and take out my pistol and lie in ambush, I guess.
Okay, no problems. So we move on to the NPCs.
One second here, John.
Yep.
Old Leopold has not had a go.
It's not his initiative yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let me make a few attack rolls for these guys. As the ones who are running, that they just plunge into the darkness, seemingly unbothered by it, and unseen to anyone except for Leopold and Krosnon, because you've got improvision, you're grand. As they streak in, you see like everyone else is like, can't really see at all. You can see fine. You see these shadowy like creatures of these porcelain masks pull out these wicked curved scimitars, seemingly from the folds of their living shadow bodies, as they run alongside. Okay, so the two on the eastern side of the cart, so the ones that are sort of over here, hurl their scimitars at the nearest horse to them, and you see the scimitars slice into the horse flesh. You see like a deep tears open in the flank of Tripper, one of your horses. The shadowy creature on the western side also throws its scimitar at one of the horses, but it just like falls short. Okay, so the one over here is going to have a go at Harp. Which is going to get nowhere near with that roll. So as you're sort of like getting ready to tuck yourself in, Harp, you see this creature sort of flow around the rock, and now you can see it close up. It is as though someone somehow like made a shadow into like a living figure, but something about the litheness of the body and the sort of the angle of its limbs does suggest an elf to you. But like I say, instead of a face, there is this expressionless porcelain white mask, bone white, as it sort of flows towards you without a sound, slices at you with one of these blackened scimitars, but you easily sort of like jump backwards out of the way of it. Okay, on to the next person. So next it is Brock.
So he's lost sight of all of these characters now, hasn't he?
Yep.
How fast is the wagon moving? Is it, or when does that move?
Well, it's assumed to be like continually moving. We're just not like moving it on the map, just for like ease. Everyone's assumed to be sort of like roughly keeping pace with it. I know it's not 100% realistic, but it saves a lot.
No.
Or
Just
like
trying to
the wagon's moving like fairly slowly because it's meant for like hauling lots of treasure and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's doing a respectable pace, but it's not exactly sort of Grand National horses pulling it.
Yeah, but there's not going to be like an opportunity to attack these guys where the wagon sort of moved away from them a little bit. They're basically keeping pace with
Yes,
the
they seem to be moving extremely quickly. Like I said, they're almost flowing across the landscape rather than walking.
Right, okay. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really got any option other than to see if I can go into this darkness and see anything, I think.
Okay, now I will tell you guys in advance because this might become relevant. If you attack someone and you can't see, you're at a -6 penalty. So technically you could move into the darkness and go, right, I'm moving up to this creature, I'm attacking it, but obviously you would be at a -6 penalty.
Well, it was more to see if I could see anything.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's not encountered this before, so...
Yeah, you're under no illusion that there's some evil sorcery afoot here, Brock.
Yeah.
And obviously we know how well that sits with your kind, so...
Yeah. He's not happy about it, but yeah. So I'm gonna move into sort of the nearest or the edge of this darkness, and see if I can see where I think these characters were heading, and see if I can see anything or hear them. Or
okay, you move into the blackness, and you obviously instantly you can't see anything. You can still hear sort of like muffled voices. You think it's maybe from the people on the wagon. Like I say, it's slightly muffled, but you can sort of hear them, so you know roughly the direction like the wagon's in.
Okay.
However, as of yet, these creatures do not appear to have made a sound. They have been eerily silent.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna, in that case, I'm gonna try and shout to the people on the wagon to abandon the wagon and get out of this darkness.
Okay, so everyone on the wagon, you hear Brock shouting at you, "Get off the wagon! Get out of the darkness!" Obviously, it's a bit muffled, but Leopold, you hear that. The other NPCs on board have heard that. Obviously, it's up to the people controlling those NPCs as to like what they do about it. The Teamsters are pretty much just fully concentrating on like trying to somehow drive this cart, even though they can't really see. You notice they have had to slow down a bit because they can't steer the horses because they don't know where they're going. basically. I mean, you can just about hear sort of like Dick and Caroline just outside, like shouting directions, but they've had to slow down a bit. Otherwise, if they're going at like full pace, by the time they've heard like, "Look out, there's a rock in the way," they'll have hit it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I obviously can't see this guy that's anywhere near me.
I mean, he is next to you, so you can try and attack him if you want, but you will be at the penalty.
Well, if I can sort of sense him by noise and whatever, I'll certainly.
Yeah,
give it
because
a-
you know they sort of moved into the side of the wagon, and you know roughly where the wagon is. So
Okay, well, I'll take a sort of mighty, wild swing with my two-handed sword and try and cover as much sort of area as possible.
go for it. Obviously, when the do you want a modifier box comes up, just type in -6.
Oh, and it didn't come up.
It's alright, you can just do it manually. It's fine.
Yeah.
So that would take you to 11, I believe. Unless I'm reading it wrong.
No, 15.
That was
15.
Well, I'll
Okay,
get pluses after that, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so against all the odds, as you swing your mighty two-handed sword, you actually feel it bite into something, and you have indeed injured one of these creatures. Quite substantially, to be honest. And as you swing your sword and you feel it very momentarily meet some form of resistance, you feel like a coldness that seems to seep down your blade and into your hands and arms. It doesn't injure you, but for just a moment it's like you'd plunged your hands and your sword into like icy cold water.
Oh yeah, I won't be happy about that.
Okay. It's the captain himself now.
Hey, I will bound over the side of this wagon. What? Get this fool that's trying to get at my wheels, and crack him over the head with Misery's End.
Go for it.
Boo.
Okay, so you leap off, swinging Misery's End in a mighty arc, and as you do, again, it's almost as though this creature like flows backwards, like living shadow, and your hammer swishes through.
I'm just warming up.
Indeed. Just a warning swing. Okay, next round, Caroline.
Same again. Just going to
Okay.
keep leading the horses
No problem.
and directing the teamsters.
Is Dick doing the same?
Yep, he will be. Yep.
Okay. Anyone want to do anything with Gordon?
Well, since Gordon's sort of loosely associated with Brock, he's gonna jump off the back and try and get out of the darkness. So at least if anything comes at him, he can see it coming at him and react.
Yep,
So
go for it. Feel free to move him.
He's gonna just sort of follow the wagon at the back.
Yep, so Gordon jumps
Now
out the back of the wagon, sort of jogs a few paces behind it, like emerges from this darkness, and he's now sort of turned around, and because obviously you can see where the darkness is now, so he knows the wagon's in there, so he's like jogging along after it, like following along behind it.
Yeah, and he just draws his weapon and just looking out for anything.
Okay. Malcolm.
Okay, so I want to draw my new shiny sword
Nice.
and want to speak in Elvish to the creature as I attack it, saying, "What kind of wall are you?" and show your face. And then I will swing at it. I'm guessing that's a miss. Yeah, that's a miss.
Okay, so you swing your sword, and as you say, like, "What kind of wild are you? Show your face." The creature sort of laughs and sort of in a sort of hissing, sibilant tone as it flows backwards out of the way of your blow. And as it does so, it sort of pulls back this porcelain mask, and below it is just a blank, featureless void of utter darkness. And as it sort of like pulls itself upright again, it replaces the mask, which seems to serve as the only face this creature has.
Okay.
Why more? Obviously, you've heard Malcolm like shouting, "What kind of wild are you? Show your face!" And then you've heard this like,
Yeah, I guess I would make my way over there. So I've got how many now? Squares? With peg leg? 20
Yeah.
feet. So 4.
Yes.
Right.
And so as you jog round, you see this bit with it pulling off its mask and revealing like the darkness beneath, and then laughing and replacing it.
So if I shoot, am I going to shoot harp?
There is a chance you'd shoot harp if you, because you've moved, so it'll be sort of like even Stevens as to which one you hit.
Draw the sound sword, but can't do anything because I'm doing double move.
Okay, so you run up, you draw the sun sword, you're sort of poised, ready to attack. Okay, what's Krosnon doing?
How long does it take to reload black powder weapons?
A long time.
Okay. Right, he's gonna jump out with his brethren there, and have a go, pitch in with Leopold.
Go for it.
Oh. And he just wails on it with his miner's pick, with a few expletives.
A few choice dwarven curse words.
Yes, indeed, yes.
And he probably curses even more when his pick swing goes wide. And again, this thing hisses its laughter in a mocking tones at the dwarven miner.
I don't care because he's got cool art.
And you hear a sibilant voice from the creature be like, "You should have stayed dead, dwarf."
Get out of my face, shadow elf. There's nothing worse than an elf beyond shadow elf, except perhaps a shadow elf.
Okay, so we move on to the NPCs. Okay, so this one is going to move over here and jump up onto the wagon. The one here that's with Krosnon and Leopold, I'm going to roll a d6 to see who it attacks. 1 to 3, it's Krosnon. Anything else, it's Leopold. Okay, so it's attacking at Leopold. Again, it produces none of these shadowy scimitars seemingly from within the bounds of its own bodies. I know you're not seeing my rolls. It swings this scimitar down towards you, and you block it with the haft of Nizari's end. For a few moments, like sparks fly up as the two weapons meet, and then you're like, push it off.
Get out of my face!
Okay, so the one that's with Weimar and Harp, I'm going to roll a d6. 1 to 3, it's Weimar, otherwise it's Harp.
Don't provoke me.
Okay, so it's attacking Weimar. Again, produces another scimitar from the shadowy folds of its body. I'm guessing that's probably a miss. So yeah, as it swings its scimitar, you just sidestep it, Weimar, and take no damage. This one that's on the other side is also going to leap up onto the cart. I'm going to make a couple of attacks for them. Okay, so from inside the darkness, you hear two screams as the teamsters are cut down by these creatures. And then we move on to Brock.
Okay. So this one's. I feel that he's left
Yeah.
my vicinity. He's dashed off. I'm gonna move down to the front where the guys have got the horses, and I'm gonna try and get them to stop the wagon and hold the horses in place.
Okay, yeah, so on the next turn, Caroline and Dick's actions will be to, like, basically grab the reins of the horses and try and stop them. Obviously, they wouldn't be able to do this if they were going at full speed, but as I said earlier, they've had to slow down a bit. So as long as they spend their full next round action both just like, whoa, whoa, they'll manage to stop the wagon.
And I'm just basically trying to sort of protect them two as best as possible while they're doing it. Just waiting to see if anything emerges from the darkness where they are.
Lovely. So it's on to Captain Leopold.
Okay, I'm going to tell Krosnon to run for the hills.
Okay.
And
obviously that's free, that doesn't take an action.
Yep. And with that, I will strike out at this dummy in front of me.
Okay.
With Misery's End. There you go.
That's a bit more like it. Okay, so you bring the hammer down on this shadow creature. You hear
hammer time.
You hear the crack as, like, literally your hammer like staves in this porcelain mask that seems to serve it as a face. It lets out a hissing, strangulated scream and, like, collapses to the ground. And as it does so, the living shadow that makes up its body begins to evaporate like a mist, in the same way that the shadow stuff on Malcolm's arrow did.
Wah! You won't like me when I'm angry.
Okay, you've felled one of these creatures. We're on to the next round. Caroline and Dick are stopping the wagon, so we go straight on to Gordon.
Yeah, I mean he's still blind. He's just stepping back with his bow and just looking for anything to shoot at, basically.
Okay.
So he's sort of holding, waiting to shoot anything that comes out of the darkness.
No problems. Malcolm.
Okay, so I just want to swing my sword again. Uh, 14.
Oh, that is exactly what you need to hit. So,
Okay.
would you like to describe how you dispatch this creature?
So what I think I'm trying to do is cut it across the mask, and because it took its mask off and its mask defends me, so I'm kind of trying to cut it across and then put the shadow, I guess, in half around the face. And I don't know if the porcelain mask will break, but assuming it does.
Yep, the mask
Great.
shatters into two neat pieces that falls to the ground, revealing the blank, void visage of this creature, which as you swing, you reverse your weapon and swing it back through the shadow, it falls to the ground in two separate pieces of shadow stuff that begin to evaporate. And as it falls to the ground and you sort of like, you're gripping the sword of respect and looking down at the only remains that's left, the two pieces of porcelain mask, you're suddenly filled with the strange urge to give this mask a respectful burial. It's only right and respectful after all.
Yeah. Okay. So can I pick up the mask and bring it with me?
Yep, you pick up the mask. It appears to be just like a normal, like, porcelain mask, two eye holes, like a mouth hole, otherwise quite featureless.
Okay.
It's been like cleaved neatly in two, but you pick up like the two parts of it. That's not a problem.
And then I'd like to jump back up onto the rock, if that's okay.
Okay. So you get ready to start leaping onto the rock, but just as you're about to do so, you're like, I really should bury this before I deal with anything else. It's only It's only respectful after all.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to move on to Weimar.
So what's Harp doing currently?
He's sort of like muttering to himself a little bit. He's like he's killed this thing, he's picked up the 2 bits of the porcelain mask that he chopped in half, and then like, he's sort of muttering almost to himself. He's like, oh, I really should bury these before I do anything else, it's the respectful thing to do. Which does not sound like Harp at all. Like, you've seen him kill like enough stuff, and he's never been like, oh, you know what, we should like bury these.
So I'll like, if Harp isn't like all over the mask pieces, I'll like come down with the sun sword.
Well, Harp's like holding the 2 mask pieces.
Oh yes, so he already got them. All right,
yeah.
So well, if he's holding them like this, like, oh, I should really put these somewhere. I want to knock them off his hands.
Yeah, that's fine. You knock them onto the ground. It's porcelain, so it shatters into even more fragments. But that doesn't seem to like change the fact that he's sort of like looking down at the fragments, and he's like, oh, we really should bury these.
Right. Okay. Can I grab him?
Yeah.
And drag him away.
Yeah, you start dragging him away. That's not a problem.
Yep. So I would go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so I'll move. Okay. Okay. So next we're on to Krosnon.
Krosnon is following orders. Getting out of there.
That is absolutely fine. So we move on to the NPCs. Okay. Okay, so Brock, as you're stood near the bottom of this globe of darkness, you've seen like Caroline and Dick have like stopped the horses. You literally see like arms come out of the darkness, these shadowy arms holding a scimitar, sort of go around both their necks and go.
And they're both goners, aren't they?
Indeed. You see both, as the arms sort of like retract back into the darkness, they're both like and sort of like fall to the ground with a pool of blood spreading around them. Okay, so we're on to Brock.
Okay. So, is it any easier to see this one, or has he disappeared back into the
He's still.
darkness?
It's literally just his arms came out and then went back in. So he is still in the darkness, but you have got like an idea of where he is.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna launch an attack at him then while I
Go for it.
hardly see him. Oh, here we go. What was it? -6.
6.
Should have done it this time. Oh yeah, that's only an 11.
Okay, that is unfortunately not enough, and your attack sort of goes wild in the darkness. Leopold, you've just seen these two shadowy creatures that leapt on the cart and dispatched your 2 teamsters have now just leapt off the cart, ran up behind Caroline and Dick, and
Yeah, I'm just going to rage forward into this fool and try and lay him out.
And luckily for you, since Brock damaged this guy earlier, he only has 1 hit point left.
There you go.
So sort of as he's retreating into the darkness, having just scragged Dick, you literally wail into the back of him with Misery's End. Again, you bring the hammer down, you feel the crunch of the porcelain as his mask shatters. It topples to the ground in this amorphous blob of shadow stuff that quickly begins to evaporate.
Old Maxwell Silver Hammer does it again.
That's it. On to Gordon.
So he can't see anything still, can he? No, he's going to go and back up our dwarven friend over there, so they're going to go for safety in numbers, stay out of the darkness.
Okay. Sensible plan. Malcolm.
Am I still feeling compelled to?
You are still feeling a little bit of the tug, but as you've been literally forcibly removed, the further away you get from where the body, for want of a better term, is, the less the compulsion is, to the point where now you're I probably should go back and bury it at some point, but you're not sort of I must bury this now, like you were when you were holding it.
Okay. So then I guess seeing Caroline having been cut down, I will want to lay into this guy here.
Okay.
That's a natural 20 for 3 points of damage.
Okay. So again, one of your arrows pierces through one of these creatures that lets out a sort of strangulated scream as wisps of its shadow stuff are torn away. It is still moving, but it's looking noticeably more uncoordinated and ragged at the edges. And it is the only one of these creatures remaining. We then move on to Weimar.
Yeah, I'll follow Harp.
Go for it.
Because now he's moving into the, better direction. So, what do I see once I step into the darkness?
Okay, as you step into the darkness, you see absolutely nothing. It is just pitch black. However, you can feel like you're still holding the sun sword. And as you're sort of holding the sun sword, to the sort of southeast of you, as you sort of concentrate holding the sun sword, you can hear, in your own head, but you sort of know it's coming from a little distance away. You can hear this sibilant voice going, "We must delay them until the rest can catch up." As though you're sensing the thoughts of this creature.
Right, so am I able to triangulate? What I'm gonna do is attacking. I will, John, attack the darkness.
Okay, no problem.
To the southeast.
Now, because you sort of know roughly where it is, because you've got the sun sword doing its ESP thing, you will only be at a -3 penalty. Because obviously you still can't actually see. You're just I know it's thinking something over there.
Okay, sun sword. Now, John, the unfortunate way that this works is I need to know if this is undead.
It's not an undead.
Okay. So here we go. Praise Gale. No, Gale.
See, that's what you get for calling on the wrong god, you see. You swing your sword, and you hear this sibilant, mocking laughter from within the darkness. From the creature. We then move on to Krosnon, the man, the legend. What's Special K up to?
Special K is there somewhere he can hide? Can he skulk somewhere?
Yeah, you just move him a few squares to the north, and we'll say he's crouched down behind a snowbank or something. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So we move on to the NPCs. I'm going to the NPC. I'm going to roll a d6. 1 to 3 is Weimar, otherwise it's Hop. Okay, it's hot. If you want to bring the carrot sheet up, that'd be nice. So,
A 16 is the target.
yeah, no problems. Oh, there we go. Okay, it has hit. You take 8 hit points of damage as this shadowy scimitar bites into your flesh. And then we move on to Brock.
Can I get through all of this?
Sorry, what were you asking, Darren?
No, I'm just trying to work out how far I can move, and how easy it's going to be able to move because of all the horse stuff in the way. I'm trying to get to this guy that I can hear the guys fighting with.
I think you could move around the front of the horses, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah. What? I always get these movements confused.
You can move 20 feet.
Oh, that is it. Okay.
So
I
it's,
won't be able to get to him.
Ah, right, there you go.
Well, I'll just move closer. I'll just be cursing at the darkness. Screaming for him to come out and face me like a man.
Okay. Captain Leopold.
I will rush in and try and drop this fall. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Go for it.
Be gone, foul beast.
That's...
Yep, so you run in with Misery's End and you lay the righteous beat down on this creature, which, as it falls to the ground, its body vanishes in a similar way to the others, evaporating.
And I stomp down on its porcelain mask.
There's like a loud as you stamp down on it, shattering it. And I think we can do without the dramatic music now. There we go. And a few minutes later, the darkness that is around the wagon, which is obviously now stationary, will dissipate, revealing the carnage. Obviously there's no bodies of these shadow creatures because they've evaporated, but you can see the bodies of the 2 teamsters slumped on the cart, as well as your other 2 retainers.
Obviously check the bodies to make sure that they have been proficient in their assassinations.
Yes, they seem to have been very proficient at what they've done. These people are beyond a doubt brown bread.
Now, do we want to keep the wagon, or do we want to just hightail it?
Well, I confess I'm worried that the wagon is going to lead them to New Zealand if we continue in this fashion. Maybe better on foot.
You say that and then your gaze happens to fall on Weimar, who you're pretty sure is not better on foot. Because he's literally on foot, as in singular.
We could take some horses, maybe.
Yeah. We could put the food into saddlebags.
Yeah, one of your horses is quite badly injured, the others seem fine. I mean, not injured in a case of like it's going to keel over and die, but it's taken some licks.
How many of these arseholes do you think there are?
Well, can we still hear the drums? Or
Must be a tribe in himself.
we saw, I saw half a dozen, I believe.
That's correct.
But only 4 given chase for whatever reason.
Well, they've just killed 4 of the people that are under our protection.
Well, this is why I'm worried about them being led to New Zealand.
Well, that ain't going to happen. Because I ain't going to New Zealand. Leopold is changing his plan.
Well, I suggest you give us it rather quickly because time is of the essence.
Well,
As we said, in the distance, you can still hear like the dun, 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 dun.
well, there's a score to settle now. They've killed 4 of, well, whether you consider them your people, but certainly 4 of my staff, as it were. And that is not a death toll that this Stavish is prepared to overlook.
Are we best placed to do it now? I don't disagree that it has to be done. But,
Well,
let us lead them west to the fort. And let us have the noble and his armies engage with them.
that might
The
be
score we could still settle the score.
that might be a sly and cunning plan, fit for a harper.
Indeed.
I quite like the cut of your jib, sir.
So you know the situation must be bad when Leopold's paying you a compliment.
Yeah.
The situation must be dire indeed.
But I also haven't made any short jokes, so it's obviously quite dire.
Well, if that's the case, then we should keep the wagon and lead them.
Yeah. Yeah, let's put the bodies on the wagon, and then if Krosnon is up for it, we could ask him to drive the wagon, and then let's head for the nearest fort.
Yeah.
What does Weimar say?
Well, I'm going where the horses are going. So
Okay. Well, if you were to have issue with that Weimar, we would have to consider your opinion. But if you're not too fussed and you're happy to go along with the plan, that's
I mean, at this point,
yeah. There's. I mean, I'm not in a rush to make my last stand here. I quite like the cunningness of Harper's suggestion.
no, not against people who create darkness. And apparently, I don't know, Malcolm, what that was about.
No, never
Well,
seen anything like it.
But I think it's probably something to do with what you are. I'm not seeing any one of these others picking up the pieces. And I couldn't smashed it with the stun sword, and you were still looking back as I was dragging you away. So I'm thinking that's probably on account of, your people.
Yes, it was very strange.
It all smells of witchcraft to me.
Sorcery and tomfoolery.
There's a lot of that going around in these parts. And we should
sure
probably leave on account of all that right now.
Okay, so I've moved you guys onto the main map. Now, effectively, we're going to work this out using the pursuit rules, because as I'm sure you've guessed by now, this greater force of these shadow creatures is pursuing you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call for a number of rolls. So obviously you guys know that you can move like 6 miles a day. So what I'd like one of you to do is to move the player party token to like where you're heading towards.
6 miles a day or 6 hexes a day?
6 hexes a day, sorry.
Yeah.
Where's the fort? Is that one?
Down here.
Yeah. And we'll stick the bodies onto the wagon so we can bury them at a later stage.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. There's plenty of
When we've
room
got-
if you
when
stack
we've
them
got
up.
time.
Alright,
And
so I think
Crosnon's
that's-
happy to like drive the wagon. Obviously, you know he used to have his own wagon before his horse was killed.
Okay, so that's the first 6 hexes there.
Okay, now normally you would make a roll to see whether you could evade your pursuer, but you guys seem to be like wanting to lead them. So is that the case?
Well, I would say that obviously yes, that is right, but I'd have said the wagon is such a giveaway with regards to the tracks and that. I don't think we need to sort of necessarily slow down or anything. If that's what you mean, I think
I think we would like to delay them though, John, if we can.
Okay.
Evade them enough.
So what I'm going to ask one of you to do, and it's up to you who wants to do it, I'm going to ask you to roll a d6. You have a 50% chance of evading them, and that just means basically you're keeping ahead of them, but you're still sort of leading them in this scenario. So whichever one of you fancies it, roll a d6. If you get 1, 2 or 3, you're keeping ahead of them and you're sort of still leading them.
Can we take advantage of any sort of tracking or anything from?
Yes, since you've got a hunter and
Malcolm's
you've got a barbarian, I'll say on a 1, 2, 3 or 4, you manage to like evade and keep ahead of them, rather than just a 1 to 3.
Okay. Do you want to roll, Darren?
Yeah, I can do. Yeah. D6. A 3.
Yep. So you can sort of glimpse in the distance this like larger force of these shadow creatures following after you, but you've managed to evade them, and because you've managed to evade them, you've not got lost. So if you failed to like evade, you would have gone in a slightly random direction because you're just trying to like stay away from them. So the first day passes. You sort of hear them in the distance. You hear the drumming. You hear the sort of sibilant shrieks of these shadow creatures pursuing you. So a day has passed. So on
At
sorry,
any stage, sorry, John. Do we get a glimpse of sort of, any sort of numbers?
roll me a d6.
A 3.
You only get a quick glance, but you would sort of estimate there's probably about 20 of these creatures.
Right. Okay. In one group.
Yeah.
So the other thing, whilst we're on the wagon travelling along there,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we know you've evaded them. You're on the wagon. You've got time to like discuss stuff because this is a whole day.
yeah, I just wanted to have the crack with Crosnon. Maybe if he could explain a little bit more what had happened, what he saw.
Yeah, so you move. You
if
move
he's
up
got
to the
a
cart.
theory.
You sort of sit on the front with him. Obviously, he's driving like the wagon, and he's like, well, I think from what I remember, I mean, it's all a bit hazy. I mean, they took me out fairly quickly, but they seem to come from the hills to the north of the mountains where I was prospecting, and the first I knew of it was when a couple of their arrows took out Bessie, and then obviously I fired my pistol at them, more just hoping to scare them off rather than anything. And the next thing I know, I was riddled with arrows myself, and I was slumped against the cart, sure that I was heading to meet the ancestors in their mighty halls of the afterlife.
Yeah. Yes, you may have been better off in the halls of the afterlife. But
He sort of looks at you in that sort of grim gallows humour that all Kalna or dwarves seem to share. He sort of like, he reaches, holding the reins with one, and he like reaches across and like pats you on the shoulder with one hand, and he's like, well, there's still time for that yet, Leopold.
yes, there is. Yes, there is. We should not wish it upon ourselves yet.
Indeed, we all have our time to go and join the ancestors. If it's their will that today is the day, then
Indeed,
that is the
indeed.
way it will be.
And we wouldn't want to miss a fight if there's one to be had. So
Indeed, not. I've got a bit of a score to settle with those damn creatures, whatever they are.
yeah, no theories on what they might be. Then
He says, well, I don't know about you, but something in the way, they're like tall and thin. Put me in the mind of the Wolds, the elves. But what's going on with the mask and the whole like darkness
No
thing? I don't
face
know.
thing. No, very
And he says,
strange.
and I've never seen anything when it's been killed, its body just wisp away like that.
Whisper away. Yeah. No, it's not right. It's messed up.
He said, normally I'd suggest, and he's obviously like taken both his hands on the reins. He says, normally I'd suggest we sit down and mull it over a bit of old Dobie, but I suppose we haven't really got the time for that at the moment. He's saying this is like steering the cart.
No, indeed not. That would be an agreeable luxury, but we shall have to save it for a future time.
He says, well, look at it this way. Either we'll succeed and we'll get somewhere and we can sit down and have a pipe together, or we'll both meet up in the halls of the ancestors where the tobacco is ever flowing and the mead never ends.
Indeed.
Okay, so while this conversation is going on, during the course of the day, is there anything anyone else wants to do? Obviously, we know we've had Brock doing a little bit of stuff like having a look out, see if he can see how many are pursuing you. He's like, about 20 of them. Obviously, we know Leopold's like chatting to Krosnon, and they're like giving it the Billy Biggins about the halls of the ancestors.
Sorry, John, just a question. Is it 1d3 healing per day I can take?
Yeah.
Even though we're being pursued?
Well, it would be if you have a night's rest. No, it's up to you whether you want to have a night's rest or whether you just like...
Okay, well, could I rest in the cart?
Yes, no, that's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can get D3 hit points back.
And then what about the Ring of Regeneration? How many hit points do I get back off that in 24 hours?
Let me just have a look. It should be on your character sheet.
Oh, sorry. No.
It's all right, mate. No problems. I think it's something like ridiculously like quick. Let's see, Ring of Regeneration. I can't see it on your character sheet.
1 hit point per round.
Oh yeah, in which case, if you're wearing it for the whole day, by the end of the day, you'll be on full hit points again.
Okay.
Even if you don't rest.
All right. Okay, brilliant.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to do, yeah.
So next day, again, it's the same roll. D6, 1 to 4. You've managed to like evade them. And I'll tell you, basically, if you fail this roll, it means you move in a slightly random direction, and they then get a roll to like see if they've caught up with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to roll again?
Yeah.
A 2.
Nice.
Okay, you find some. Move your token to where you want to go.
I've moved already, sorry.
No, that's absolutely fine, mate. No problem. So yeah, so you're still galloping ahead of this shadowy force that is pursuing you. At a couple of points, you see like what must be like the sort of vanguard of this force, like fire a couple of arrows. They don't really get it. The nearest they get to is one of them like sticks in the back of the cart, and you watch the arrow like into the back of the cart, and for a few moments it looks like a slender black wooden arrow with like a black feather on it, very much in the elvish style. But then a few moments later, the arrow just seems to like disintegrate and wisp away like the bodies of these creatures. But that's the nearest they get. Does anyone want to do anything else during the course of this day? If not, move your token, and Darren, do you want to make another roll?
Okay. This is number 3.
Can I just study them, John? Can I just like sit on the cart and just like look at them?
What is it you're trying to find out?
I'm just trying to observe them because, you know, being a fairly shrewd fella and that, I'm just looking to sort of see if there's any clues about the way they move or like their shadows or
it's almost like they're
indiscrepancies.
It's almost as though they're made of shadows, and they don't appear to like walk like normal people. They just appear to like flow across the landscape, almost like they're sort of like semi-liquid shadow. The only thing that seems to give them any form of like solidity is their weapons are obviously solid, because you've like felt the sting of them, and these porcelain masks that they're wearing. Roll me a d6, however. Lovely. Okay, So you notice that amongst this group that are pursuing you, at the front of this group are two of these shadow creatures that at first you're like, oh, another couple of them, that's fine. Then as you sort of like throughout the day, you sort of like study them a little bit, you realise that two of these creatures, the masks they're wearing, they're not made of porcelain like the others. They appear to be made of like sort of like grey stone. But that's the only difference you can see.
Yeah, I'll just drop this in the conversation with the other folks, and like, looking at them guys, there's a couple of them, and they don't look big or anything else, because you said they don't look any different. They're just, they got like a grey mask instead of that white porcelain. I'm thinking they might be the commanders or the leadership, the chieftains, or however they organize themselves. So if push comes to shove, they might be the folks to take down. Do they seem to sort of have that air of leadership, like they're in a position at the front, in a position of some prominence? Or
they are at the front of this group that's following you. However, they're not wearing any obvious like symbols of authority or anything like that. The only difference you've noticed is the masks.
Yeah. Okay. It gives me something to study further.
Okay, so unless anyone else wants to do anything that day, do you want to move your token again and make your roll, Darren?
So you've moved it 4 times. Yeah. This is day 5 then. Oof.
Just so there's a couple of points during this day where you have to slow down to go round particularly difficult bits of terrain, and you can see this group of these shadow creatures are getting closer behind you, but you've just sort of managed to stay ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, if they ever get any closer, we'll take sort of, there'll be discussions about what to do and ambush points or defensive positions, so we won't let them get right on top of us.
If you guys want to have a discussion about it, feel free to have it now. I mean, you've got the whole day.
I just meant if they're closing in, we need to have a sort of potential plan of what we're going to do. We're going to tie up the horses and try and ambush them. And
I wonder, do we try and slow them down?
In what way?
Have you got a plan for that? Because
Anyway,
they're floating as well. It's like they're not even on the ground, are they, really?
I mean, you can make a small attack while the wagon carries on and then try and catch up, but I don't think it's going to delay them enough, is it? It's going to be really temporary, isn't it?
Well, if you make an attack, you're just going to get... You're effectively just going to be taking them on, aren't you?
But I wonder, is there a way we could split them, or... Do we see them ever split at all, John, or is it just 20 of them moving in one batch?
They appear to pretty much move in one batch. You do occasionally notice them split, but it's only when they have to sort of flow round difficult terrain, and then they sort of rejoin up again as soon as possible.
The only thing I can think of is that if there's a particular route that we can take that would make it a really narrow sort of pathway through the mountains or hills or whatever, or something where you could actually do a proper sort of
choke point
and slow them down or ambush them or something. But I think if we can keep ahead of them, then that's best option.
I mean, there is something you could do. We could take the clothes off of our fallen companions and make them into dummies, like decoy people, keep them on the wagon, and just let either one of us, or we maybe just see if the horses would just roam on, and we abandon the wagon, peel off from the wagon, and then see if they follow the wagon, or just try and do some kind of decoy thing to draw off some of their force. My guess is they'd all just pile after the wagon, which
on that note, did we bring the corpses with us?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're on the wagon.
Right. So if we take the wagon and put it off a cliff, maybe with a horse or two.
Well,
They would-
feign our own death.
Yeah.
I mean, we do want them to follow us.
I was going to say, don't we want to take them to
Yeah.
the fort?
I mean, this is
Isn't that the plan?
If
Well,
they're
this was
getting
if
too
we were
close-
getting caught. This was
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was
Yeah,
if
this
they.
is only if it hits the fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it wouldn't work forever. They would eventually get like root through the wreckage, but it might be a thing of like, you know, they're right there, so we can do something, and then we can maybe get a day.
Yeah, like I feel if you're following a wagon, you just get used to following the wagon, don't you? Kind of thing. You maybe don't. I mean, you know, I don't know. You might just be following the wagon, and then if the wagon goes over a cliff, you just sort of think, oh, them dudes we following have just gone over the cliff. And then you go and investigate. In the meantime, the actual dudes have made their way in a bit of a different direction. Yeah,
At the very least, it might draw a portion of their force.
I think there's a little bit of potential there for sure.
Does depend how good their tracking is as well, maybe, with regards
Yeah.
to footprints and stuff. If
Well, I think at this point we better hope that they don't have the whole palette covered. They've got a lot writing that we don't.
yeah.
So,
Okay. So,
Well, we'll only go to that if it looks like they're closing in on us, obviously.
So why don't we try and hide our tracks a little bit, and just kind of, you know, walking along behind it with like a branch to kind of spread in the snow again, and sort of
Try and slow down.
see how good their tracking is, and see if we could get an extra day's head start on them.
But aren't they sort of almost in view of us at the moment?
they're getting pretty close at the minute.
To the point where it's,
Okay.
you know, if they can see us, it's going to be hard. Unless, you know, the
Yeah, they
pathway
must be
allows
doing
us
that,
through
but they
the
must
hill.
be doing a combination of tracking and getting the occasional bead on us, because we would not be constantly in their view.
That's
You
true.
know, you're
Well,
just
that's what
going
I'm
to
saying.
sort
Do
of
we
like
take
get
a
a
path-
glimpse of us every now and then.
Take a path that makes it a little bit more difficult, a bit more windy, and
Well, we could do like Mr. Harper is suggesting there, that we take some counter tracking measures and some like evasive.
well, a tracker's going to be the best person to know how
Exactly, yeah,
cover
exactly.
his
To
tracks if
obscure
anybody-
one's tracks, to cover one's tracks, evasion.
Okay, so if you're planning on obscuring your tracks, would you like to make me a tracking roll, Malcolm?
That's interesting. I've never really looked at the rules in any of these games, because you're forever tracking. I've never actually looked at the flip side of it to see whether there's much discussion about evasion, escape, and evasion.
Okay. So, unfortunately, your attempts to obscure your tracks are unsuccessful, so I'm going to make a roll now to see if they catch up with you.
So that target looks wrong, John. Sorry, because I'm level 5 now, so it should be 80%.
Okay.
We should make that a...
Well, I failed my roll for them to catch up with you anyway, so
Okay.
it's fine. Okay, so next day, move your token. Darren, make your roll.
getting close.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Ugh.
Okay. So basically that means that you've moved in a slightly random direction rather than where you wanted to end up, because they've got close and you've had to like take evasive action effectively. So I'm going to roll a quick.
Over the edge of a cliff, evasive action.
Accelerated the plan too early.
Okay, so you've actually gone like a bit further south than you intended to, so you're actually here.
Oh god,
Oh Jesus!
that's almost gone sideways.
Okay. However, they have not managed to catch up with you. They are getting very close, though, to the point where, like, you've now sort of occasionally you were like, oh, before you were like, oh, yeah, we've caught a glimpse of them occasionally. Whereas now, like, every time you slow down and you have to avoid everything, you're like, oh, they're there. They're like, they're coming up on us.
I wonder what the dwarves of Witch Isle will make of them.
Yeah, I was thinking, should we try and make for Witch Isle? Because we have horses now, so we could actually spend some time looking for a place to ford the water. So we could even maybe take the horses across.
Is there a way across it then? Is there boats?
Oh, we've been across it. I don't know how we got across it. How did we get across it?
We had boats.
You had a boat.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, but horses could swim and the wagon could. No, maybe not.
Yeah, we could ditch the wagon, but
Yeah.
I was thinking if we can get to our friends on the island, that might be a position of some strength.
Yeah, I mean that's looking like a little bit of a better plan. That's within reach.
I guess so. We wanted them at the fort, though, right? Because we wanted casualties on both sides.
Yeah, but that's how
We'll
many
settle
mountains
two
away?
scores in one go.
the fort's at least, well, 3 days.
3 days?
Away, I'd say.
3-4
More than
days.
2 days, anyway.
Hmm.
If it goes.
It's still, I think, because we've made some headway there with the sort of anti-tracking measures. I think we can still try for the fort if we want.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, it's not beyond the bounds of possibility at the minute.
Yeah, if you go in Witch Isle, you've got to do it now, ain't you? Because
Yeah, this is just the fork in
Yeah.
the road, as it were.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I meant.
Yeah, and it's literally you guys realise you've gone too far south when you like spot like the lake around which
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and you're like, oh, we know where this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no sort of knowledge of Witch Isle, so I'd have
As
to
far as your
go on
people are concerned,
advice
it's
on
like
that
a
one.
cursed place of evil magic.
Right, let's go for the fort.
Yeah, which it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
which it is. Yeah, that's not superstition. That's fact.
Yeah, I'm keen to push onto the fort.
Okay, so now why don't we push onto the fort and I will try and hide our tracks again.
Okay.
Okay.
See if we can't get some more time back.
Okay, make your roll, Darren.
Yep. A 3.
Okay, yeah. So, with the aid of Malcolm hiding your tracks and sort of like effectively detouring towards the Witch Isle Lake, you have managed to sort of gain a bit of ground over them. They are still close, but they're not as close as they were the day before. And you know that you're almost within reach of Fort Kersey. Almost. Okay. So, next day, so become.
Oh, we're fully committed.
Yep.
Right,
Beyond the point of no return.
come on, dice. Ugh. Knew it was coming.
Okay. Right, so you've gone a little bit awry in your journey, so let me just make a quick roll for that. Okay, so again you've gone a little bit further south, so you're actually here. I want to make a roll to see if they manage to catch up on you, although their roll's not as good as it would be because obviously your tracks are being headed. Yep, you still managed to keep ahead of them.
Probably this janky route that we're taking is throwing them off. They're like, what the? Nah, they can't have gone that way.
These guys are
SBF.
so bad. Like, no one can be this bad.
No.
Yeah, they're following along and they're like, oh, they're making for the foot. What?
Nah, that's wrong. That's wrong.
Okay, so next day, if you want to move your token again, Darren, again with your roll.
They probably think we're going for the cove. That's probably what it is.
Okay.
Come on, dice. Oh,
Ah.
Okay.
it's let me down badly. When we're in sight, are we actually within sight of the fort? We can.
The trouble is you're rolling that red dice, man. What's up with that? That's the DM's dice, man.
Okay, so you've actually ended up a little bit further to the southwest than you planned. However, as you're cresting that hill that you're on, you can see like a few miles away, you can see Fort Kersey, like you're within visual range of it. And I'm make a roll to see if they catch up with you. Again, obviously that's a more difficult roll because your tracks are being covered. they've caught you. However, you are just about within range of the fort. So what I'm going to do is, just for convenience sake, I'm going to use the same map. So just like the one that we were using previously. So what I'm going to suggest we do is, I'm going to suggest we have like a 5-minute bathroom break here. That'll give me time to set up the map. And when we come back, effectively we're going to have you guys coming from the south edge of the map. If you get off the north edge, you've made it to the fort. And there'll be like, again, like an advanced party of them that have caught up with you. So we'll be back in 5 minutes, and then that'll give me time to sort out the map, and then we'll crack on with this. So we'll see you in 5.
All right. Ooh.
Is that the dude with the grey mask at the front there, John?
He looks like Shredder a bit, doesn't he?
He does a bit.
Indeed, that is the one with the
Is the
grey
plan
mask. Okay, so I've not put the cart on because it'd be a pain in the backside to like keep moving it. But basically, if you stay in that group there, which is the cart group, you can move 40 feet a turn, rather than whatever your normal movement rate would be. So,
Okay.
since we're effectively straight into a combat, you guys will get to have a turn of movement before they sort of enter the scene. So, first of all, are you all staying on the cart for the first turn?
I think I'll drop off.
Okay.
I'm going to stay on. I'm going to switch to my spear. So what happens with initiative if I change to...
Yeah, your initiative will have
Sort of
changed.
later.
I'll roll it. I'll roll it shortly.
Okay, I'll tell you when I'm changing over.
Well, just change over your weapon now if you want. It's fine.
Oh no, I meant once I've thrown my spear, it'd be gone.
Oh right, okay, cool. Yeah, that's
I'll
fine.
have to go to the bottom of the list, sort of thing. For
Yeah, no
two-handed.
problems. Okay, is anyone else jumping off the cart, or you're staying?
No, I'm going to stay on the cart.
Okay, so I'm going to move the cart, people.
Have we got a plan if we get plunged into darkness? Are we gonna like get out of the darkness and stop the wagon, or are people gonna try and carry on that can see, or because it makes me and Weimar a bit useless with regards to the combat, I think.
Just
not-
keep
them-
going.
I'm not with you. If they cut, it stays on the cart, doesn't it? It stayed
Yeah,
on
so
the
are
cart.
we gonna get everyone gonna get off the cart and spread out of the get out of the darkness, or
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think what Brock's saying is that if they do cast darkness on the cart, are we abandoning the cart?
yeah, because if
Yeah, well,
they
it's
attack
it-
us on the cart, we can't fight back very easily. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you can't, but I mean, I could carry on. The people that can see could carry on driving the cart because it don't make no odds.
Yeah, but last time what happened is they all bundled on the cart and killed everyone on the cart while everyone outside the darkness was watching blank darkness, and then eventually when they killed everyone inside, they come out to fight whoever was left. So I was a bit, not completely helpless, but not very useful. Whereas if all the people they can attack come out of the darkness, they got no one to attack. That's what I meant. Unless
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not saying
so
you have to do it. I'm just trying to understand what we're going to do.
It's just you're moving at half the pace off the wagon. That's all. You're only moving at 20 instead of 40.
okay, so let's get into it. The wagon has done its first move, which is where like the mainstay of your group is now. Obviously, that Malcolm's jumped out. So first of all, it is Brock.
What is my range on my spear? 20, 40 or 60? They're quite far away still. I'm going to stay on the wagon at this stage and yeah, just throw my spear if they get a bit closer. But
Okay, so Colin, what's Crosnon doing?
Stopping on the wagon and
Okay.
kind of like encouraging the horses.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Something like that.
I presume Gordon's staying on the wagon.
yeah.
Okay, so Malcolm, you've like jumped off. Obviously, you've still got your move and your attack or whatever you choose to do.
Okay, so I would like to shoot this Shredder-looking guy.
That's fine. Go for it.
11, I'm guessing, is a miss.
It is indeed a miss, because they're still like moving through the trees at this point, coming out. So as you fire at him, he sort of like ducks behind a branch, and the arrow goes thung into the branch.
Okay. And I would like to move as far as there.
That is absolutely fine, no problem at all. Okay, so next we come to Weimar.
Then target longbow.
Okay. Let me know what you get.
Shit.
Okay, so literally, as you and Malcolm both fire, this thing's like moving around a tree, and you literally see the two arrows go like thump, thump, right next to each other into the tree. Okay, Leopold.
Okay, so I've worked out this shredder guy, the grey masked
Miscreant.
miscreant is. I've got him in my
Loiterer.
I've got him in my crosshairs, and I'm gonna let rip with Misery's End.
Go for it.
Hopefully, we'll see the error of his ways. Yeah, boy.
Oh, yeah.
It probably
Oh.
is.
The die
I've
was
never-
going to turn to 2.
Okay, so you turn round in the cart, pull out Misery's End, sort of spin it round Thor style, launch it. However, just as you launch it, like the cart goes over a bump on the ground, and you're like, "Bloop." So it throws your aim off a bit, and the blow just catches him like a glancing blow. You see a bit of stone from the mask get chipped off.
Yeah. Dang.
Okay, so on to the NPCs. Who all flow forward as one mass. Okay, obviously they're not near enough to do you any harm, sort of in melee, Malcolm. However, a number of them are going to produce. They're also like pulling out basically longbows, pretty much, for all intents and purposes. Although again, made of this blackened sort of shadow wood, but they're all like seamlessly. And again, as you see them sort of like pulling out the bow and like notching these slender shadow arrows to it, you are very much reminded of like the way in which they fight, the sort of elegance with which they move. It is very reminiscent of how your people fight. Your people, you've mastered that whole art of like pulling the bow out and at the same time notching the arrow and then just letting fly as one fluid movement, and this is very similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll 4d6s now, and it's going to be, that's for the 4 like normal guys, and basically 1, 2 or 3 they're shooting at the people on the back of the cart. 4, 5 or 6 are going to shoot at Malcolm.
That's also not good for me.
So you are the closest target. Okay, so we've got 1 shooting at the back of the cart. So I'm going to make a roll. 1, 2 or 3, it's Gordon. Otherwise it's Weimar. Okay, so Weimar. You take 2 hit points of damage as one of these shadow slender arrows hits you in the shoulder, and you feel the pain of it piercing your skin. But then as you look at it, the arrow just like dissolves like a mist and just sort of like dissipates, although it still leaves the wound behind, obviously. Okay, so the 3 that are shooting at Malcolm. First one's missed. Second one has hit. You take 2 hit points of damage as one of these shadow arrows strikes you. And obviously don't forget you're recovering hit points at the start of your turn each round.
Yeah.
And the other one misses. So yeah, so you take a grazing blow from one of these arrows. Now for their leader, again I'll roll a d6. 1, 2 or 3, it's the cart. Okay, so he's firing at Malcolm as well. Obviously trying to show his guys how to do it. Okay, so that is a 16.
Hits, yeah.
You take 4 hit points of damage as he draws this quite fancy looking bow and fires a shadow arrow into you. Okay, so now we go on to Brock. Obviously from where you are, Brock, you've seen a couple of these arrows into Malcolm and then sort of dissolve.
Okay, I'm gonna... Oh, actually, Gordon has got a bow, I was going to say. I'm going to just...
Although, actually, I do need... Is anyone jumping off the cart? Because first of all, I'll need to move the cart.
I'm stopping on the cart.
No,
Okay.
it seemed to be the plan to stay on it, so...
Okay, so that's where the cart will be at the start of this turn. And like I say, you need to get off that northern edge of the map to have reached the fort. So
That's a cool looking map as well, man.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt you, Brock. What are you
No. Well, we're further away now, so... yeah, I haven't got the range, really. My spear. So I'm going to hold tight where I am.
Okay, I presume Krosnon's just concentrating on the drive-in.
He is.
Okay, Gordon doing anything?
He's actually got a bow, hasn't he?
Yeah, I believe so.
So I'm going to... Yeah, he's going to launch a shot off with his bow, definitely.
Who's he firing at?
He'll fire at the main man at the front.
Okay.
He's the closest target as well.
I'm not going to fight it. Let's just call him Shredder.
He's firing at Shredder. Yeah. 13.
That's one shot.
Okay.
So the arrow thuds into the ground just next to this shadow creature's leg, for want of a better term, although it's really just like a blob of shadow. Okay, Malcolm.
Okay, so I want to run to here, and then I want to shoot Shredder.
Go for it. Let me know what you get.
What's that? 16 for 2 points of damage.
Okay, so I presume it's an arrow you're firing.
Yeah.
Your arrow sort of passes through him, and again you see wisps of the shadow stuff torn off, and you hear this as the arrow goes through it. And I take a sip of drink to recover from doing that.
1 hit point.
It burns. 1 hit point to the larynx. Okay, so Weimar.
So is Malcolm looking like he's trying to catch the cart?
No.
No. Okay.
He's
Because I was thinking
skirmishing.
if he's running after, I'm gonna toss him the fucking crabbling hook that I have and just reel him in. But no, if he's still doing the fighting run, then I think it's gonna be a longbow shot at our boss man
Okay.
to the south. So here goes.
Your target's 14.
Yep. No, not today. Not today.
Okay, so your arrow falls short, thunking into the snow. Leopold.
Yeah, I was a foot archer, not a
That's it, to be honest, you're not
That's
really
it,
used to
yeah,
like
no.
firing from the back of carts.
No,
Yeah,
no.
there you go. You're not
And also,
mechanized infantry.
because of these strange sort of flowing shadow figures, it's quite difficult. Normally you might be oh, there's the chest, I'll aim for that, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But when it's just a massive shadow with a mask on it, it's kind of difficult to pick a vital area.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things wrong here that I'm not used to at all.
Yeah, to be fair, Brock's not looking too happy about it.
No, he's not. That's why the other reason he's staying on the wagon at the moment.
No. Okay, so Leopard will wind up and let rip.
Go for it.
This is in away
AC
we
14.
go. Oh, I don't. Oh, I did. Yeah, just. Woohoo!
Okay, so Misery's End smashes into this thing, like literally going through it, again tearing off some of this shadow stuff, then it arcs around and returns back to your hand. And for a few moments as it lands in your hand, like the haft of Misery's End feels very cold, like it's been plunged into icy water, and there's a few wisps of this shadow stuff clinging to it, but quickly they're like...
Yeah, I'll be like trying to shake them off.
Okay. So, start the next turn, I'm going to move... Is anyone jumping off the cart?
No.
Okay. In which case I'll move the cart first.
Screw that.
You're like, you can almost see the fort now, just beyond these trees. You're almost there. Okay.
Go, Dobbin.
What's that?
We've got Blitzen, Prancer, and Dancer.
Okay, so 2 of them are going to shoot at the back of the cart. So I'll roll 2d6. 1 to 3, it's your man Gordon. Okay, so 1 at Gordon, 1 at Weimar. So the one shooting at Gordon. No dice. It sticks into the back of the cart. The one shooting at Weimar. That's a 17. So you take 2 hit points of damage as one of these slender black arrows is like into you and then begins to dissolve as soon as it's hit you. And then we have the 2 normal ones pulling out scimitars and attacking Malcolm. What's your AC, Malcolm?
16.
Oh, so you're fine for the first one. And the second one. Again, as they come in, again, you notice their fighting style is very fluid and rather like your own people's fighting style. But then it's time for Shredder to have a go. As you dodge the blows of his subordinates. However, he hits you doing 5 hit points of damage as you feel this shadow scimitar slice through your flesh. Okay, so that's the NPCs done. So Brock.
It's looking a bit dicey back there.
It is. I mean, to be fair, although Malcolm's like doing an amazing job of like evading all these scimitars that are coming at him, like there's 3 around him. Potentially, if the other 2 peel off, like if you get too far away and they're like, "Oh, I can't catch them." However, this guy, he's going to be surrounded by like 5 people.
Yeah. Did we?
I say people.
Did we have to get off at the start of the turn though, or?
No, you can jump off now if you want.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, the only advantage to bailing out at the start of the turn is like you're not farther away.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. I'm gonna jump off then.
Yeah, you've still got your move and your attack because obviously you didn't actually move. The cart moved.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna just move to here, which is all I can move anyway.
Okay.
And I'm gonna launch my spear at one of these 2 on the left, so
Go for
there's
it.
no danger of causing any extra damage.
AC 14.
Okay. I'm not sure he's very good with a spear throwing it, but that's a good.
I don't know. Seems all right at it.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Okay, so your spear like slices through as you throw it through one of these creatures, again ripping off part of the shadow stuff that makes up its body. Again, you hear this loud, strangulated cry, and the spear thuds into the ground behind it, and the bits of shadow begin to evaporate from it.
You don't get any strength bonuses or anything to damage, do you, with a spear? No.
Not thrown. Okay, so I presume Krosnon's carrying on driving. What about Gordon?
He's gonna try and fire at the same one that I just threw my
Okay, go for it.
spirit. So he launches an arrow off. Oh, no good.
The arrow thuds into the snow. Okay, Malcolm.
Okay, I want to pull out my shiny sword and hit Shredder.
Go for it.
And miss. And then I want to hightail it.
Yep, go for it.
5, 6. Yeah, to there.
Okay, so he parries your blow with his scimitar, and as he's sort of like pushing you away, you turn around and take off on your heels. Weimar.
Okay, are folks looking like they want to get back on the wagon now, or are we doing the fighting move again?
Still
do.
expecting to have one more entanglement before
Right.
that.
So, okay, I guess we'll repeat. So, I'll shoot this one because it's looking rough. Well,
Yep, it
comparatively, I know that the spear went in, so
is. Indeed.
there's that. Longbow. Well,
Boom.
here we go. Finally, 3.
Okay, so as your
Should do
arrow pierces this creature, it lets out a loud shriek and falls to the floor, its body already beginning to disperse and dissolve. Leopold.
Okay, then I will. I've still got my eye on the main man, the grey masked fiend, and I will loose off Misery's End once more. Dang.
Okay, Misery's End spins round, he dodges out of the way, and then it returns to your hand. Okay, next round, is anyone leaping off the cart? Okay, I'll take that as a no, so I'll move the cart first. So next turn the cart will have reached the fort. Okay, so we go on to the NPCs. Two of them rushing towards Brock, and Shredder and one of his minions rushing towards Malcolm. So the two attacking Brock with scimitars. Nah. So first one misses. Second one hits. However, you throw yourself backwards at the last moment and it only catches you a glancing blow, causing you 1 hit point of damage, Brock. As your Ice Walker reflexes kick in, and instinctively you just launch yourself backwards as he rains his attack in, and it just catches you a thin, shallow cut on the cheek. Okay, so the normal guy attacking Malcolm. Nah, misses. Shredder. Also misses as you athletically leap and pirouette out of the way of their blows.
That's how real elves do it.
Brock.
Okay, well, I'm going to take a swing at this one I'm next to and then try and withdraw back a bit. That's feeble.
Okay, so because you're like having to like parry all these blows coming at you, you struggle to land a decisive blow on them. Presumably Krosnon and Gordon are just like staying in the cart.
Can I move after you?
Yeah, of course, for free.
Yeah, Gordon's just gonna fire an arrow to sort of help my retreat.
Go for it.
We'll try to. Oh, nearly. No.
Okay, so it's on to Malcolm.
Same again. I want to hit Shredder and hightail it.
Okay, go for it. AC 14.
Ooh, that'll do it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's pathetic. 5 points of damage.
However, you nearly finished him. You carve off like a huge chunk of the shadow stuff from his body, and you see that like, as he's moving, like his movements are very uncoordinated, and he seems to be moving a good deal slower now than he was. He's like, as he's trying to attack you, his like movements are more clumsy and uncoordinated. Okay, Weimar.
Well. So, next time the cart moves, it's going to reach the fort.
Yeah, start the next turn.
Are we still in the conflict? Even if that happens?
Once you've reached the fort, no, effectively.
All right. So if I jump off and stand here, can I step 5 foot to the north and be at the fort? Or
Yeah, pretty much.
okay, so yeah, I guess
That'd be you sort of like just trying to like cover him and then being like, quick, let's get to the fort now.
Yeah. That's the entire idea. Is like,
Yeah, that's fine.
like stay back long enough because I have my longbow that has massive range. So I'll stay at the edge.
Okay.
I'll leap off and in the fiction would continue walking backwards and
Yeah,
firing.
That's absolutely fine.
So longbow, shredder. Yes. No.
However, thanks to Malcolm, he has 1 hit point left.
One.
So would you like to describe how you dispatch Shredder?
So I'm not sure how their physics work, but they're sort of because they're flowing forward, I presume,
Indeed.
after us, and his mask is all shredded.
Nice.
I guess that would be where he's trying to aim. Presuming that somehow all of this is tied to the mask, because the mask seemed very significant last time. So he's like just desperately trying to get a headshot, and somehow it happens actually. And I think it just goes through the remaining parts of the mask and just shatters it.
Indeed, there's like a as this like pale stone mask shatters, and there is a loud, high-pitched shriek that I won't attempt to do, as this shadowy sort of like mass just like falls to the ground and almost breaks apart, evaporating. Okay, Leopold. Obviously, start an next turn after you this round. The cart's off the map, and so is anyone on it.
Okay, I'll jump off.
Okay.
Stand about here. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and chuck Misery's End at one of these fools with the audacity. One of these fools have got the audacity to keep pursuing us.
Go for it.
That should do the trick.
That will most definitely do the trick. So, which one of these 3 would you like to kill?
So the one that's sort of 6 squares in front of Brock, directly in front of it. That's the fella.
Okay. So Misery's End just smashes through the mask of this thing. There is another high-pitched shriek, and it falls to the ground, its body already discorporating. Okay, and on the start of the next turn, The cart, which has Gordon and Krosnon on, rumbles off the top of the map. They're out of the combat. They're effectively like out of the fort. So we continue on to the next round with the NPCs that are remaining. So one attacking Brock. Although actually, to be honest, I'm going to make them a morale check since loads of them have been killed, which they succeed at. So they do indeed charge straight forward. The one that's attacking Brock goes with his scimitar. And hits you for 5 hit points of damage, Brock. And the one attacking Malcolm hits you, but again you throw yourself out of the way with athletic prowess and only take 1 hit point of damage.
Okay.
So Brock.
Okay, I shall try and retaliate. My swinging a two-handed sword, and feebly rolls once again.
Obviously you can still move.
Yeah, and I'll make a sort of fighting withdrawal.
Okay, Malcolm.
Okay, so I will swing my shiny sword. Uh, 13's a miss, is it?
That's correct, Jay. You need a 14.
Okay.
Obviously you
And
can still
then
move.
I'll move 20 feet to stay in line with Brock.
Okay, Weimar. Lurking on the periphery of the combat.
Yep. Longbow. This one.
Okay.
Yep, there we go. Nope, well, there we don't.
However, it's still whittling him away a bit.
Yep.
Every little helps, as they say. And you have hit him.
So I guess it nicks the mask, and because it's the shadow stuff, the mask kind of spins around. Kind of sword back.
Okay, Leopold.
Leopold's gonna do the thing. So he throws the hammer, and then starts heading in the opposite direction with his arm up, ready to catch the hammer.
Oh, I love it. Throws it, turns around, and he's like running away like.
Yeah, and he's like.
Go for it. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, where's the thing appeared? Oh. Is it not rolled? No. Ah. He was trying to be too clever.
Indeed. However, the hammer does return, and you like grab it out of the air as you're heading away. So you've now like caught up to where Weimar is, and you both sort of stood like a few meters away, like the fort's just beyond these trees.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to the next round. The one attacking Brock. As these creatures flow forwards. You've taken 5 hit points of damage, Brock, as a shadow scimitar swipes out towards you. The one attacking Malcolm. That's it. And you've taken 7 hit points of damage as you are stabbed by a shadow scimitar. Okay, Brock.
Oh, he's definitely got a bit of a rage going now.
Nice.
But it's not helping him. He's definitely
To
lost.
control the emotions, Brock.
He's lost his cool.
That's it.
He's falling back once again.
Which is ironic, given you're an ice walker.
Yeah.
Okay, Malcolm.
Hot-blooded still.
That's it.
Okay, I'm going to swing my sword at this guy in front of me. Oh, that looks like a hit. Okay, 6 points of damage.
Okay. That is enough to slay this one.
Okay.
Nice.
So am I still feeling compelled to bury the mask? Okay. So then I guess what I'll do is I'll bend down and pick up the mask and then take out my dagger and start digging in the snow.
That's absolutely fine. Okay, so Weimar, there's only one of these creatures left, although, again, bizarrely, Malcolm's just, like, stopped, even though there's one, like, 5 foot away from him that's still moving, and he's just started, like, digging in the snow to, like, bury this mask. And you're not sure, but you think he might be, like, muttering, like, an elven prayer under his breath.
I always had my doubts about that boy. What's he doing now? Some tomfoolery.
Well, let me actually get the selection here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Step forward. Actually, I will draw the pistol.
Are you going to draw it out sideways, Saw?
You no. It's going to be a case of like drawing it and
He's coming in like,
the hip,
why am I going to give it to you?
Kids. He's giving it Billy the Kid style.
Go
You
for
think
it.
this is a game? Okay, so where's my pistol? Here we go. Flintlock.
Obviously, we are. Bear in mind, we are in damp conditions.
Oh yeah, we are. Well,
Dank.
well, yeah, that's true. So, let's see. Do I have the rules here? I do. Okay.
Yeah, they should be on the item.
Oh yeah, because we're using the new
That's
stuff,
right.
so this is baked into the roll itself, isn't it?
Yep. I believe it's if you get like a 1 or a 6, like your powders, like damp and misfires.
Yeah. Here we go. Well.
Boom. Get that
Oh,
good damage.
There you
on.
go.
And again, remarkably, you seem to have a remarkable talent for doing it. This guy has exactly 3 hit points left.
Like,
So as this thing's like sort of flowing across the landscape, like closing in on Malcolm, who's like burying a mask, I was thinking like, I'm just gonna like shank him while he's like on his knees, like burying this mask. As it's like flowing towards him, like raising the scimitar, no doubt hoping to do the old
yep.
on him. There's just this loud and the mask that it's wearing just like explodes into like a million fragments, and there's this loud sort of screaming hiss, almost like someone like letting air out of a balloon, accompanied by like this horrible screeching, and it just falls to the ground, briefly seeming to like flow like liquid before evaporating into a black mist. You have defeated the advanced party.
Weimar stood there in a cloud of smoke.
Yeah, I disappear.
Okay, you now all have like ample time to make it to the fort, so I'll move us all back to the main map. Since obviously there are more of them coming, but they're a bit behind. These are like just like the advanced sort of scouts that caught up with you guys. Okay, so you're within range of Fort Kersey. As described previously, Fort Kersey, so settlement surrounded by a wooden and stone wall. There's you see there's like a couple of cannons dotted around. There's a gate there. There's a couple of like soldiers on the gate who've obviously like seen what's going on. You know, they've been like getting their bows ready and they're like arrows. They don't even like bother to like check who you are as you like approach the gate. They're like, open the gate, open the gate, and like people behind, they're like pull the wooden gates open, and like a couple of soldiers who are like behind the gates are like gesturing for you to like get the hell in. And assuming you all head inside, like the gates are slammed.
Oh yeah.
The gates are
We
slammed
don't need to
behind
be
you.
told twice.
They lower like a big wooden beam to like lock the gate effectively. One of the soldiers up on the wall shouts, "What the hell were those things?"
Shadow creatures.
Who knows? Fell beasts.
And as they say,
if you've got anything to ward off anything mystical, you'll want to get it on the door. right quick.
The soldier's like, I don't know about anything mystical, but I'd like to see the mystical thing that could stand up to a good hard dose of cold steel. He's like, prepare the cannons! And you see like these more of these soldiers running out with like cannonballs and
That'll
like,
work too.
Yeah, because I was gonna be like, your steel isn't gonna do shit, but then I was like, oh yeah, cannons, that's good. That'll work.
and as you say this, you see like this horde of now about like 15 of these like shadow creatures. Again, another one with a stone mask seemingly leading them, like flowing out of the forest around the fortress, seemingly sort of like closing in on it. And to cut a long story short, in fact, I'll tell you what, I like a bit of randomness. Why don't we like throw it down to a roll? So what I'm going to say, who would like, because I'm not going to roll it, I'm going to make you guys do it. So who would like to roll for the shadow creatures and who would like to roll for the fort?
I'll roll for the shadow creatures because I guess I wanted to damage the fort and the soldiers within.
Okay. So who's going to roll for the shadow creatures?
Well,
sorry, I'm going to roll.
Oh,
for
you're going to roll
shadow
for the shadow.
creatures.
Who's going to roll for the fort?
yeah.
Sorry.
I can roll for the fort.
Okay, so the roll for the fort is a d6 plus 3. The roll for the shadow creatures is just a d6. And basically,
Is this wise?
9 for the fort.
5 for the.
okay, so obviously this takes like a number of hours, but we're sort of like montaging it because we're sort of getting on a little bit. So what happens is these shadow creatures flow towards the fortress. They're absolutely bombarded with like cannon shot after cannon shot, and there are you guys are helping out as well, you know, firing arrows and like your black powder from the walls. Misery's ends are like whooping out every like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
The shadow creatures are like firing their longbows back. You do see a few soldiers who are like and like stagger off the walls, but the shadow creatures are sort of getting decimated by just the combined firepower. And even when they get to the walls, you see a few of them like trying to like climb up the walls, which they seem to be like reasonably capable of doing. But obviously, while they're climbing up the walls, there's people like just firing bows down at them and like throwing stuff at them. So over the course of several hours, there's a few points when you're like, oh, one of them's got to be on the wall, but then the soldiers just like mob it and sort of like with your help manage to defeat it. And eventually they are like, most of this force is destroyed. There's maybe like half a dozen of these shadow creatures left, and they seem to realise like they're done, and they just like flow backwards towards the trees, accompanied by cannon and arrow shot, and eventually they are lost from sight. They've retreated. Congratulations, with the help of the Fort Kersey defenders, you have won the day. Your plan, obviously there's been a few casualties at Fort Kersey as well, a few soldiers, etc. But by and large, the fort has held. Your plan of drawing them there to use the defenders of the fort seems to have worked. And it's only after everything's settled down and, you know, the fortress people are counting their dead, and you're sort of like checking your wounds and stuff like that, that as you look around in the fort, you realise there's like black cloth banners like hanging everywhere, which seems a bit odd. But obviously you've not really noticed it before because you've been too busy like.
So as we're, you know, picking up the wreckage of everything, I'll ask one of these soldiers, did you lose your banners or?
He says, he says, oh, they're. He says, oh, yeah, them. He says, oh, they're mourning banners. Oh, haven't you heard?
Oh, we've been in the mountains now.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, you've been prospecting, have you?
Among other things, trying to stay alive mostly for the past couple of days with these.
He sort of nods and he says, yeah, I can see that. And he's like, well, yeah, there's been a lot of people like prospecting and buying claims and whatever. He says, well, yeah, obviously you've not heard. He says, a couple of days ago, Lord Eastbourne's passed away.
Oh, old was he?
He says, well, yeah, from what, and I mean, obviously we're not in Fort Eastbourne, but you know, we like to show our respect when a noble dies. And from what I hear, he'd been like ill for quite some time, but from what I gather, he hasn't really got like any clear successors or sort of like people to pass down his rulership. I've heard like his second in command's taken over.
That'd be
Bannon.
The weasel.
He says, yeah, that's right, Seneschal Brannon, yeah.
Yeah, and you can bet his illness has got something to do with that geezer sneaking off into the woods, into the mountains, huh?
The soldier goes on and says, oh, I know they'll be doing like a big funeral service and there'll be like church services and whatnot at Fort Eastburn. And we're not really going the whole hog here, but like I say, even we like to show respect when one of the nobility dies, hence the banners. We normally have like Lord Kersey's banners up, but out of respect, we've taken them down and we've put these mourning banners up, at least for a few days.
right.
Is this the fort with the ice walkers in it?
No, it's not.
Okay, and is this the one we've been in? Sorry, so confused.
We went to Eastbourne, didn't we?
Yeah,
The lower one.
it was Fort Eastburn you were last in, which is the one further to the south, where apparently Lord Eastburn has passed away recently.
I'm sure that's got something to do with that shenanigans.
Well, he's basically poisoned him slowly.
Yeah,
By the
he's
sounds of
been
it.
up to no good.
Controlled
Been up to
him,
no good.
and then got in a position where he could take over once
Yeah.
he passed away.
Yep.
Oldest trick in the book.
Yep.
And I think, as Malcolm says, oldest trick in the book, that is where we're going to wrap up for this evening. Thank you very much for playing, guys. I hope you enjoyed the session.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was good, yeah.
Obviously, I'm happy to chat for a bit afterwards and we'll sort out XP and whatnot. But for now, it just remains to me to thank my wonderful players. Thanks to anyone who's watching this either now or in the future. Hopefully, we'll catch you on the next session. And we're going to end the stream here. Take care.
So long.